Hello and welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're embarking on a journey into, well, a truly unexpected and frankly profoundly disturbing narrative. We've been handed a stack of sources that paint a picture just so far removed from what you might anticipate. We're delving into the very fabric of character and tracing a horrifying descent. Our mission, as always, is to navigate these challenging waters, extract the crucial insights, and help you understand the trajectory of what's been described as the downfall of Fred Jones. But before we dive in, just a word of caution. The content we're about to explore is extremely graphic. It deals with themes of sexual violence, abuse, and severe psychological distress. So listener discretion is strongly advised.
Indeed. Our focus today is squarely on the complete unraveling of Fred Jones. You've shared these accounts with us, and they detail his actions, yes, but I think more importantly, his plans. How meticulously they were formed and how horrifyingly they were executed.
Meticulously feels like the right word, but in such a chilling context.
Exactly. These sources reveal a really dark, complex, and deeply unsettling narrative. It forces us, and you listening, to confront some uncomfortable truths about human behavior when it's pushed to its darkest edges. We're not just sifting through information here. We're witnessing a profound, disturbing transformation.
And the ripple effects. The devastation.
Absolutely. So let's unpack this for you and try to understand the intricate and ultimately destructive nature of Fred's schemes.
These sources they're raw, unfiltered, deeply personal. They give us this intimate, almost voyeuristic look into Fred's mind, into the dark evolution of his motivations, or maybe the chilling absence of them sometimes.
That's a key point. The why remains elusive in many ways.
We'll be exploring the lead-up, the actions themselves, and the horrifying consequences. It's a series of meticulously planned and maybe some unplanned events, all centered around Fred and his increasingly disturbing intentions.
And you're right. This isn't just a story about one individual falling apart. It's a stark examination of obsession, of psychological unraveling, and those devastating ripple effects you mentioned, caused by unchecked impulses.
It challenges assumptions, forces us to confront things we might rather not.
It really does. It provides a unique lens, albeit a disturbing one, through which to understand human behavior when it goes to those dark places. What stands out immediately, I think, is the gradual nature of it, almost insidious. Fred's internal breakdown, often masked by this external composure he had.
Right, he holds it together on the surface for a long time.
Until he doesn't. The sources meticulously detail how his plans evolved. From this simmering resentment into calculated acts of violence. And then it just spirals, doesn't it? Into self-destruction, further depravity.
It's a chilling trajectory.
This deep dive, it really offers a unique chance to analyze the psychological underpinnings of that kind of transformation and the profound impact it has on everyone caught in its wake.
Okay, let's start at what seems like the beginning, the catalyst. 1, the seeds of obsession, Daphne's revelation and Fred's anguish. So we begin with what seems really like an innocuous moment, almost mundane on the surface. But it quickly becomes this insidious catalyst for everything that follows. Daphne, she's in a genuinely good mood, sharing exciting news with the group.
Yeah, she's met someone. A good Christian man on a Christian dating app. Her voice is cheerful, the sources say, radiating this newfound happiness.
She's telling Shaggy, Scooby, Velma, and Fred about this new connection, and she's completely unaware, it seems, of the storm brewing right next to her.
Absolutely unaware. And that's where a crucial observation from the sources comes in. It highlights Fred's immediate, almost imperceptible reaction. While Daphne is recounting her joyful news, Fred is described as subtly gripping the wheel.
Just gripping the wheel, not shouting, not reacting outwardly.
No, it's contained. But this subtle physical action, it betrays a profound internal angst. It's a really crucial early indicator, pointing directly to his underlying resentment, his possessiveness.
It feels like more than just disappointment.
Oh, much more. It's presented as this deep-seated hatred for her finding independence, finding happiness with someone else. His developing plans, even at this very early stage, seem driven by this intense negative emotion. It's like a desire to control, maybe even destroy, the source of her happiness.
And Velma picks up on it. She always does, doesn't she?
Perceptive as ever. She senses this unspoken distress. She offers what the sources describe as a coded comfort, a specific phrase.
The one she normally says when she offers Fred a BJ. The sources are explicit.
Yes. But Fred, he's already consumed by his internal turmoil. He just blanked her, completely ignores the offer.
Which tells us his focus had already shifted, irrevocably. His mind was already somewhere else, on a more sinister path, beyond that kind of comfort.
Exactly. And the tension in the van, you can almost feel it reading the accounts. It's reflected vividly. The mystery machine just gets a bit faster.
Mirroring his escalating internal turmoil, the loss of control starting to show.
Tangibly.
Yeah.
And Daphne, in her innocence, she remains completely unaware of these chilling undercurrents.
She just puts a hand on his shoulder, right? Ask if he's okay, if maybe she should slow down.
Just a simple gesture of concern. But Fred's response, it's immediate, violent, shocking. He jerks his shoulder and knocks her hand off. Forcefully.
Wow. That physical rejection, that's a real turning point.
A definitive one. The van falls silent after that. They continue on a quiet drive. And that rejection, it isn't just about refusing comfort. It's about aggressively pushing away the very person who is becoming the object of his escalating fixation.
Like her touch itself is an affront to the plan he's starting to form.
Precisely. It highlights his complete detachment already, the singular, perverse nature of his intentions. He's severing any connection that might interfere with these burgeoning destructive plans.
For Q.
The brilliant scheme. A twisted euphoria.
What happens next, it just delves even deeper into this horrifying transformation. It reveals an escalating pattern of really disturbing behavior. So halfway through this quiet, tense drive, Fred's mood just flips.
An abrupt, shocking turn. The sources describe him suddenly becoming really talkative and happy, almost manic.
Which must have been incredibly jarring for the others.
Oh, definitely. They're described as really concerned, worrying he might be bipolar or something because the mood swing is so drastic so fast.
It's such a stark contrast to the simmering anger we just saw.
Exactly. But this sudden shift, it isn't arbitrary. It's not random. It's directly linked, the sources say, to the conception of what he perceives as his amazing solution.
His solution, which is this grotesque scheme.
Yes. To forcibly get with Deafany, that's D-E-A-F-A-N-Y, a really twisted phonetic rendition of Daphne's name.
That detail itself is so disturbing.
It is. His plan is to do this by dressing up as a ghost. And what's particularly striking here is the contrast the sources draw. His past, elaborate ghost-catching plans, his whole identity.
The thing he was known for, the leader, the trap setter.
Right. All of that is explicitly stated to pale in comparison to what he now sees as the sheer brilliance of this new malevolent plan. And the sources are unequivocal. They state this new plan is to commit a horrific act of sexual violence against Daphne.
So it's a complete distortion of his usual heroic role.
A total inversion. It showcases this profound shift from problem-solving to predatory intent. His plans have taken a truly dark, pathological turn where violence isn't just conceived, it's celebrated by him.
Yes, and that's the most chilling part. The sources explicitly state his happiness, this sudden manic cheerfulness. It's as if he's just sort of cheered himself up about the fact that he's going to assault someone. I mean, that detail, it's just horrifying.
It forces you to ask, what does this tell us about the psychopathy potentially at play here? That severe personality disorder, lack of empathy, manipulation, disregard for morality.
How does that manifest in deriving actual satisfaction, perverse satisfaction, from planning something so awful?
It suggests it's not just a plan for him. It's become a source of twisted joy, indicating a severe psychological break from any recognizable moral compass. The meticulousness he used for ghost traps is now warped, directed towards violence. It forms the foundation of these deeply disturbing plans. 3. The confrontation with Shaggy. Neutrality and complicity.
Okay, so they arrive at the destination, this supposedly haunted hotel, and Fred, he doesn't waste any time. He immediately pulls Shaggy aside.
Right, for a disturbing confession, articulating the next stage of his escalating plans.
He says, emphatically repeating it, "Tonight, it's the night. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, Shags." And then those weird nicknames. My shark. Shags buddy. I'm going to do it.
That repetition, the strange, possessive nicknames, it really highlights his warped state of mind. His belief in the inevitability of his actions. He's not asking for advice.
No, he's announcing it like it's a foregone conclusion, a plan he's fully committed to.
And demonstrating this perverse sense of entitlement, which comes out in his justification.
Oh, the justification is chilling. He claims Daphne. What? Could have agreed to this by now.
Yes. She's had plenty of time to think about it. It's just breathtakingly awful logic. Then he declares, "I don't want to wait anymore, frankly. I'm sick to think death of it."
That reveals such a profound, toxic sense of entitlement, a complete disregard for her autonomy.
Absolutely. He frames his intended assault not as a crime he's planning, but as a consequence of her supposed delay, as if her consent was just some formality he was tired of waiting for.
And the sources even say this internal justification is true to Fred.
which highlights the depth of his delusion, his psychological detachment from reality. His plans are built on this foundation of entitlement and perverse reasoning, a mind that has thoroughly rationalized the unthinkable.
But then there's Shaggy's response,
Mhm.
which is, well, maybe the most unsettling part in a way.
It's surprisingly muted, isn't it?
Yeah. He just asks, "Are you sure, Fred?" And he's described as only a bit stirred.
A bit stirred,
Yeah.
given what Fred just explicitly stated he plans to do.
And later sources, they reveal Shaggy knew everything. That he was kind of actually a big person to blame. He remained very neutral, didn't object, even though Fred had a few long conversations with him about it.
Which raises a really important and deeply uncomfortable question for you listening. Why? Why would Shaggy, generally seen as kind, non-confrontational, be so passive in the face of this? What psychological factors could possibly lead to that level of neutrality? Or is it complicity?
The sources speculate, right? His hippie stoner persona. Passivity.
They do suggest that, implying maybe a general detachment that stops him confronting something so grave. But the explicit mention that he knew everything, had these long conversations, that points to something deeper, more like active neutrality, maybe even indirect complicity. It wasn't just ignorance.
It feels like a deliberate inaction.
It does. Psychologically, you could look at the bystander effect, less likely to intervene when others are present, maybe rationalizing non-intervention. Or perhaps profound cognitive dissonance. His friendship with Fred preventing him from fully processing the horror, choosing denial, or this uncomfortable acceptance.
Whatever the reason, his neutrality becomes this chilling reinforcement of Fred's plans.
A silent, tacit approval, almost, which is deeply disturbing. 4. Preparations in solitude. The ghost costume and whiskey-fueled delusion.
So as the night goes on, Fred isolates himself, a crucial step in executing his plan.
Yes, he orders a separate room in the hotel, which apparently alarms the others, since they usually share.
But they don't intervene.
Doesn't seem like it. He spends the night alone, drinking whiskey from a glass container, flipping TV channels rapidly.
Described as really stressed out, but then also having a little smile sometimes.
That chilling mixture, stress and perverse satisfaction, highlighting that internal conflict, or maybe just the twisted pleasure he's getting from his impending detailed plans. The solitude lets those dark intentions fester, solidify,
And then his gaze lands on a white duvet.
which he uses to make the ghost costume, cutting crude eye holes. But then, more disturbingly, he uses a pillowcase.
To fashion crude, makeshift undergarments with an explicit opening.
Yes, the sources are very clear. He's in a state of extreme arousal at this point, underscoring the purely sexual, predatory nature of his preparations. This isn't about catching ghosts.
No, this ghost is an instrument for his planned violence.
Exactly. The grotesque detail of those makeshift undergarments, it just further illustrates his distorted sexual focus, his complete disconnect from reality. It's a horrifying embodiment of his perverse objectives.
Ordinary objects, a duvet, a pillowcase, transformed into tools for this terrifying plan.
Reflecting the complete corruption of his mind, this imagery, the crude, makeshift nature for such a horrific purpose, it's profoundly unsettling.
It's not just a disguise anymore. He's actively transforming himself, literally, into the embodiment of his dark plan.
Discarding any remnants of his former persona, this act of preparation is a crucial step in his descent. Fantasy and depravity merging into a chilling reality he's intent on enacting. 5. The first act of violence, Velma's ordeal.
So his grotesque transformation is complete. And now we move to the first act of violence, a devastating consequence of Fred's unchecked plans. Velma probably still concerned about him.
Right, his strange behavior, isolating himself. She knocks on his door.
He answers, fully clad in that makeshift ghost costume. What a bizarre, disturbing sight that must have been.
And her immediate question says it all. What the hell are you doing, Fred? Shock. Confusion.
A stark contrast to the chilling, predatory intent behind the costume. She's confronted with a horror she couldn't have imagined.
And Fred's response to her concern, it's brutal, immediate. He grabs her by the collar, aggressively restrained her, then forces her head down for what the sources describe as a really rough sexual act.
The detail here is particularly awful. He's actually hurting himself.
Yes, the source explicitly states he is actually hurting himself because of Velma's braces and how forcefully he's acting. Yet he's described as being in full throttle mode, driven purely by his objective.
The fact he's hurting himself but keeps going, it highlights his complete absorption in this perverse mission.
Overriding even his own physical well-being. It demonstrates a severe psychological break. His immediate violent plans take absolute precedence over self-preservation, over any form of empathy.
And the setting, the open door to the empty corridor, flickering lights.
adds to that surreal, horrifying atmosphere. Like the haunted hotel itself is a silent, complicit witness to his plans unfolding, a stage for his depravity.
After the assault, Velma asks him, "Do you feel better now, Fred?" Such a poignant question.
And his response is just cold dismissal. He's looking out at the city from the balcony. He just says, "Get the F out." Doesn't even look at her, devoid of empathy, remorse.
Then he pours another whiskey and throws the glass.
Throws it next to the wall next to her head. A final act of intimidation. Control.
Velma quickly leaves, backs off, then turns and returns to the others, without a word.
Silent. Traumatized. Trying desperately to maintain some facade of normalcy, of safety, amidst this hidden horror. The immediate aftermath really highlights the isolation and fear.
And the others. Tragically, they remain completely oblivious.
Utterly oblivious.
Yeah.
The sources explain, little does she know she's got evidence of the assault over her face. But the others are described as so naive they don't say anything. They fail to notice any signs of distress, the horrifying reality of what Velma just endured.
That detail is crucial, isn't it? It foreshadows Daphne's experience later.
It does. And it highlights this collective blind spot, maybe denial, within the group. A dangerous precedent for Fred's escalating plans. It underscores the power of ignorance or denial to allow these devastating events to stay hidden, even in plain sight.
Setting a dangerous precedent for the unchecked continuation of his horrific intentions.
And it also speaks volumes about the victim's immediate instinct for self-preservation, for silence, in the face of trauma. 6. The final act of the night, luring Daphne and the silent witness.
So after Velma leaves, Fred just continues his descent, deeper into this whiskey-fueled rage, further fueling his dark plans.
Yeah, he goes through a bottle and a half of whiskey in just 45 minutes, becoming quite drunk and really aggressive.
And the sources remind us chillingly that even just one glass of whiskey could make him aggressive enough to do what he did to Velma.
Emphasizing the dangerous volatility of his state, how the alcohol seems to embolden his predatory impulses, his dark intentions. It feels less like self-medication for escape, more like fuel for his plan.
Then at 3:30 a.m., he sends a message to Daphne.
A calculated deception, asking her to come outside because the mystery machines supposedly have a flat tire.
He sounds wide awake on the phone, apparently, but there are spell mistakes in the message.
Right, due to his drunkenness. A small but telling inconsistency, betraying his true state, his impaired judgment. It's a cunning, calculated deception. A sinister plan using the team's shared mission, their vehicle, as a trap.
Preying on her natural concern for the group, for the van.
Exactly. Leveraging her trust against her. Exploiting the very bonds of their friendship as part of his plan.
Daphne, completely unaware of the trap, she goes outside, sees his shoes and jeans under the van, notes one tire is slashed.
Implied to be Fred's doing. A deliberate setup to ensure she's isolated out there.
As she questions him, Fred, still in the ghost costume, runs up behind her and gets her, basically.
The sources are blunt.
Yeah.
Horrifying. It's all over by that point. There's nothing she can really do. She's crying, screaming for help.
But the rest of the crew, still asleep, oblivious.
Completely oblivious to the terror unfolding just yards away.
And then there's that truly chilling detail. The elderly cleaning woman.
A key insight from the sources. Cleaning the hotel in the dead of night. Yeah. She watches for like about 10 seconds before simply carrying on, mopping up.
Doesn't say a word to anyone, just carries on mopping.
This shocking bystander effect, or maybe deliberate inaction. It's a profound commentary on complicity, the breakdown of empathy. It just amplifies the horror of Fred's plans. The sources emphasize this deliberate turning away.
Making the unseen act even more stark, raising questions about societal responsibility.
It illustrates how profoundly isolated victims can be, even when theoretically not alone.
When Fred is finished, he turns her around, grabs her throat.
Yes, grabs her throat and just stares at her. The intensity of that silent stare, after such a profound violation. Deeply disturbing. An act of psychological control, intimidation.
Then he lets go. She runs back, composes herself before going inside, wipes her eyes, goes back to bed.
A desperate attempt to restore some semblance of normalcy. And like Velma, Daphne is described as an innocent Christian girl, someone who doesn't know what evidence of a sexual assault means, underscoring her innocence, her trauma.
The parallel between Velma and Daphne's immediate reactions is striking.
It highlights that shared coping mechanism, silence, self-composition, that immediate desperate attempt to return to normal despite unimaginable violation. The ripple effect of Fred's plans is already causing immense quiet suffering, leaving profound invisible wounds. 7. The Mexican escape, Fred's degradation and cartel debt. So, months pass after these horrifying assaults. Fred, described as scared to try anything further where he was, he flees to Mexico.
An immediate flight from justice shows his fear of consequences, right? But also his inability or unwillingness to actually confront what he's done.
Exactly. This escape, a crucial part of his post-assault plans, it seems, leads him into a whole new dimension of trouble. Criminal enterprise. Personal degradation.
And Shaggy and Scooby, they go looking for him. Shaggy's lost his buddy.
Right? Grappling with the unraveling friendship, go soul-searching with Scooby. They eventually find Fred in Mexico. But the man they find, he's just a shadow of his former self.
Found in a shitty little, not even a house, addicted to drugs.
In serious debt with the cartel, tragically now running drugs across the border to America.
It's a complete degradation of his character, a stark consequence of his earlier plans just going horrifically wrong.
Demonstrating how one dark path leads to others, each more destructive.
And the Mystery Machine, what's happened to it?
The van itself, once that symbol of adventure, heroism, it's become a potent symbol of Fred's downfall, the consequences of his actions. It still has the slashed tire he likely caused for Daphne.
Oh, wow, he never even fixed it.
Apparently not, along with new scars, hand dents, bullet holes in the back, a cracked front window. Fred himself has been shot in the arm, hasn't been to a hospital, further illustrating his desperate, broken state, operating outside the law, outside basic self-care.
The vehicle, once so vibrant, now just a prop in his criminal life. Scarred, battered, reflecting him.
Precisely. His plans, which began with such disturbing specificity, have led him down this path of self-destruction, crime, physical decay.
And there's a crucial detail about some cash Velma sees later.
Yes, the sources reveal a massive stack of cash in the van belonged to the cartels. It wasn't his.
Yeah.
This isn't just a detail. It's a critical turning point.
Stealing from the cartel, that's incredibly dangerous.
Extremely. This desperate act means Fred is now on the run from the Mexican cartel the rest of his life, escalating his predicament exponentially. It suggests his plans, however successful he thought they were in the short term.
Like the assaults, the escape.
Right. They only create larger, more dangerous, utterly unmanageable problems for him long term. His carefully laid dark intentions have spiraled into this much wider, more terrifying reality, consuming him entirely. 8. The ultimate betrayal. Further assaults on Shaggy and Scooby. The reunion. Fred, Shaggy, Scooby. It's not happy. It's another horrifying chapter in Fred's escalating depravity.
They find him sleeping under the Mystery Machine. What a pathetic image.
It is. He initially ignores them, then starts to cry, seemingly showing a flicker of something. Emotion, maybe.
But then Shaggy tries to comfort him, puts a hand on his shoulder.
A simple gesture of concern from a longtime friend. But Fred instantly gets enraged. This visceral reaction to touch, to connection, reveals how deeply fractured his psychology is. A moment of potential empathy is violently twisted into a trigger for aggression. His plans for violence have corroded his ability to experience normal human connection.
What follows is just profound betrayal, malicious intent, a direct consequence of his ongoing plans to inflict suffering.
He grabs Shaggy's hand and sticks a needle into his arm.
A needle? What's in it?
The sources reveal Fred contracted some sort of weird STD off Velma that night. Not AIDS, but something really awful.
Yeah.
He injects this STD straight into Shaggy's veins, into his bloodstream, declaring, "You've got this now, you bastard."
That is just unbelievably cruel, deliberate harm. Connecting the assault on Velma directly to this new violence against Shaggy.
It showcases a horrifying disregard for human life, a malicious desire to inflict suffering, extending his plans of destruction beyond the initial targets into the very bodies of his former friends.
And the horror doesn't stop there.
Regrettably, no. Fred then grabs Scooby and sexually assaults him.
Oh, God.
Shaggy, stumbling from the injection, overwhelmed, tries desperately to get Fred off Scooby. But he falls onto Fred.
And Fred takes advantage.
Forces him into a horrific act of oral sexual violence. The sources describe Fred as a savage dog, a rabid animal backed into a corner, going from one to the other.
The description of Shaggy crying, claiming he has that awful taste.
A truly horrifying illustrative detail, underscoring the depth of violation, the trauma inflicted by Fred's escalating plans. It sticks with you.
After these unspeakable assaults, Fred just stumbles backwards, curls up, cries.
For about 5 minutes, yes. An apparent fleeting moment of remorse. Self-pity, who knows? But this brief flicker is quickly shattered.
He stands up, wipes his tears, and then punches Shaggy.
Punches him in the throat. Steals his wallet. Drives away, abandoning them both.
Leaving them with the trauma, the illness. Scooby is described as absolutely traumatized.
This cycle, extreme violence, apparent remorse, Then more violence, betrayal. It paints a devastating picture. A severely broken, dangerous individual whose plans have irrevocably destroyed his relationships, turning loyalty into tools for his depravity. What does this say about friendship? Trust. When they can be so utterly shattered by one person's unchecked actions, their insidious plans. 9. Velma's transformation, Stockholm Syndrome and degeneration. But then, despite everything she endured, Velma, she's waiting outside for Fred.
While Daphne, understandably traumatized, refused to come, Velma is there.
Fred smacks her in the ass, this aggressive, demeaning gesture, and she gets in the van willingly. They drive off. Never seen ever again, the sources say.
And what's truly unsettling, the sources state she kind of likes it, though.
Yes. It describes a profound psychological transformation within Velma, stating she has developed Stockholm Syndrome, that psychological phenomenon where captives bond with captors. Having slowly fallen in love with Fred after years of his aggressive advances, she loves it.
It's such a deeply unsettling portrayal, a victim becoming complicit, finding perverse pleasure in her abuse.
A testament to the corrosive power of prolonged trauma, manipulation. A dark, tragic twist to the consequences of Fred's overall plans, highlighting the mind's capacity for adaptation even in horrific circumstances.
And her behavior. It's become deeply depraved, a stark contrast to her old self.
Overtly sexualized. She pretends to lose her glasses so she can stumble on like Fred's exposed anatomy in front of everyone. This perverse exhibitionism.
Fred is quite hush about it, knowing they're not supposed to know.
Indicating this secret power dynamic relationship evolved into disturbing complicity, reinforcing his control. And there's that other scene, Fred dragging her out of the room by the scruff of her neck.
With Shaggy and Daphne oblivious, underscoring how this abuse is normalized, hidden, even in plain sight.
Velma's depravity extends even further, into severe drug use, grotesque acts. She sees a sawed-off shotgun with a meth in it shell and quietly discards it.
Preventing Fred from killing himself.
Potentially. But her actions immediately after are horrifying, ingesting substances directly from bullet wounds in Fred's skull, even described as sucking out a bit of Fred's brain.
That's incredibly graphic.
It is. She then lustily likes at Fred, licks blood mixed with mayonnaise from his food poisoning off his jeans, thinking it's seminal fluid.
This extreme behavior, it highlights the complete unraveling of her character.
Her intellect twisted into perverse desires. Fueled by the toxic environment Fred created, it's a profound destruction of her former persona, a direct, tragic consequence of being entangled in Fred's horrific, self-consuming plans. 10. Fred's physical and mental deterioration. The why and the how.
But the central mystery remains, doesn't it, for you listening? Why? Why did Fred do all this?
The sources are explicit. Nobody knows why. Despite him having, numbers of all those models and all that. A French model, a Swedish skier.
Opportunities for a different life. Healthy relationships.
Seemingly. Instead, he had a dream about it. And in his twisted mind, it triggered him. It had to be done with no reason why it had to be done.
That lack of rational explanation, it points to a deep psychological break, doesn't it? Pure compulsion.
Rather than logic, even warped logic.
Yeah.
His plans ultimately weren't rational. They were born of this dark, internal imperative that defied external justification. And perhaps that's the most chilling aspect, the lack of a clear why.
The sources also clarify his downfall wasn't sudden.
No, it was happening for a long time, a gradual erosion. The events we've detailed, the assaults, the escape, were just an outburst within 2 days of a thought that is solid in Fred's head for years.
Thinking about assaulting Daphne.
Every second of every day, the sources claim. He hated her short skirt, saw her as a temptress, could excuse himself, go into public bathrooms, masturbate aggressively because of her.
Paints a profoundly disturbing picture. Hidden, dark impulses festering for a long time, finally erupting, fueled by these long-held pathological plans.
A slow, internal rot that finally broke through.
And in Mexico, he engages in extreme self-harm, a gruesome extension of his self-destructive plans, his addiction.
Right. The Mystery Machine contains a snub pistol with 3 bullets, and then it's got a blank bullet, all hollowed out, that has a little bit of meth in it mixed with gunpowder.
And he shoots these into his head.
Shoots meth bullets into his head. 3 bullets become lodged in his skull, blood dripping from him, causing him to feel dizzy, have mini strokes while driving, swerving off the road.
And Velma finds this thrilling, but also nervous.
A testament to her own corrupted state, reflecting the extreme environment Fred has created.
His logic behind the meth bullets is just deeply disturbed.
Completely delusional. He believes that meth gives him a rush, like the rush will make the bullets faster. Or give him a bigger buzz. If he shoots like a meth bullet, he'll get higher faster.
A grotesque example of addiction and delusion, willing to inflict severe, potentially fatal damage for a fleeting high.
Utterly deranged from reality. It shows a complete breakdown of any self-preservation instinct. His plans for self-medication, self-mutilation are just destructively irrational.
And his physical appearance reflects this internal state, the consequences of his plans.
Described as skinny, bags under his eyes, a lot longer hair, things scruffy, really not himself at all, really dirty.
And the poignant detail. His cleanliness used to be his pride and joy until all this happened.
It completes the picture. A man utterly destroyed, a shell of his former self. His plans led to his complete physical and mental degradation, almost unrecognizable. 11. The Hunt. Consequences and collateral damage. Daphne's life as a direct tragic consequence of Fred's actions, his plans. It's utterly shattered, showing the profound, lasting ripple effects of this kind of trauma.
She can't even touch another man now. Freaks out, deletes her Christian dating account.
Severing that pathway to the happiness she once sought. And disturbingly, her dad has to leave the house because she's uncomfortable with him there. A profound distortion of family relationships.
And her parents. They know what happened, but they blame her.
They're described as leaving because they want to disown her for letting it happen, having always warned her Fred was a bad influence.
That is just cruel, compounding the trauma with victim blaming, a truly tragic ripple effect of Fred's plans.
Highlighting the profound, long-lasting psychological and social devastation for the victim.
Shaggy and Scooby also bear lasting, grotesque trauma from Fred's ultimate betrayal.
Shaggy still has that really strong, sickening taste in his mouth, that horrifying sensory memory, and Scooby's body is explicitly stated to never going to be the same.
Shaggy can't look at Scooby the same either, can't enjoy his usual noises.
These details, however grotesque, underscore the lasting physical and psychological damage, cementing the depth of Fred's betrayal, the wide-reaching permanent consequences of his dark plans.
But after months of therapy, Daphne, she finally talks to the police.
Yes, a long, arduous process. Pushed by Shaggy, she manages to explain what happened to a detective using dolls, a common method for victims, especially with trauma. This provides the police with enough evidence to power into the search.
And Shaggy also reports Fred for Velma's abduction.
An accusation the police are obviously going to believe, given everything else. This marks the beginning of official consequences. Fred's hidden plans finally coming to light legally.
And there's witness testimony too? CCTV?
Yes. Footage of Fred going out in those disturbing pillowcase undergarments. And the elderly hotel cleaning woman, the silent witness.
The one who just kept mopping?
She initially denied seeing anything, but confronted with the footage, she was forced to confess. Shockingly, another camera angle shows her smiling and laughing while mopping.
Smiling and laughing.
When giggles for a little bit and kicks a vending machine. The sources indicate she was totally exploiting it for a free snack. A disturbing display of a complete lack of moral compass, empathy, even from an external observer.
Adds another layer of depravity. The widespread breakdown of human connection, moral responsibility that Fred's actions provoked.
With this irrefutable evidence, the detectives now have the go-ahead to put out an APB, an all-points bulletin on Fred Jones, launching a large-scale to massive-scale manhunt, cooperating with hundreds of other police departments.
He's wanted as a mega, rapist, drug lord, a countrywide search.
Yes. And his changed appearance, skinny, scruffy, long hair, ironically makes him harder to find. It illustrates that Fred's plans, however meticulously conceived for the initial assault, the escape.
They quickly unravel into this huge criminal pursuit.
National, international implications. Demonstrating the inevitable, far-reaching consequences of his horrific actions. The inescapable reach of justice, however delayed it might be.
Wow. What an incredibly disturbing and just profoundly tragic journey this has been. From a seemingly minor frustration fueled by obsession to this cascade of assaults, betrayals, self-destruction, Fred's plans, and his entire being utterly consumed by his own dark impulses. We've seen a character undergo an unthinkable transformation, leaving a trail of devastation that touches everyone, forever altering their lives.
Indeed. And the sources leave us with no clear, rational why. Just hints of a mind fractured by obsession, a complete detachment from reality, from empathy. It's a stark reminder, isn't it, that sometimes the most profound destruction stems not from grand external forces, but from a terrifying internal unraveling, one that, once started, seems impossible to stop. His intricate plans, designed for his own perverse gratification, were ultimately just pathways to his own destruction and the profound suffering of those he once called friends.
This deep dive, it really forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about human nature, about the hidden darkness that can reside within, about the fragility of the social contract when one individual breaks so violently from it. And it begs the question for you, listening. In a world where appearances can be so deceptive, where information bombards us, how do we truly distinguish between outward semblances of normalcy and the chilling reality of hidden destructive plans that can lie beneath? Often, right there in plain sight.
Consider the profound implications of what we've heard today, not just for these characters, but for our broader understanding of the human psyche. What does Fred's downfall and the varied reactions of those around him, from complicity to profound lasting trauma, what does it truly reveal? About the nature of evil, the silence of witnesses, and that long, silent road to trauma and destruction that victims are forced to walk.
It's a sobering reflection, perhaps, on the responsibility we all bear to recognize and confront the darkness when it emerges.